Hello everyone, back with me again, Joseph, your host, and welcome back to our channel. Today, as the world gets ready for the joyful celebration of Christmas, we're going to travel back in time to meet a very special saint whose feast day falls on Christmas Eve itself. His name is Saint Delphinus of Bordeaux, a bishop who lived over 1600 years ago. He was a true shepherd, a defender of the faith, and a guiding light for many. So let's get comfortable and discover the inspiring story of this wonderful Advent saint. Our story begins in the 4th century, a fascinating and challenging time for the early church. The Roman Empire was shifting, and while Christianity was growing, it was also facing many internal struggles. Different ideas about who Jesus was and what it meant to follow him were popping up, and some of these ideas, called heresies, were leading people away from the truth. It was in this world that Delphinus was called to lead. We don't know much about his childhood or where he came from. We know that around the year 380, he became the Bishop of Bordeaux. Bordeaux was an important city in a part of the Roman Empire called Gaul, which is modern-day France. Imagine being the leader of a whole city of believers at such a critical time. It was a huge responsibility. Delphinus wasn't the very first bishop of the city, but he was one of the earliest and most important ones. He followed a bishop named Orientalis, who had attended a famous church meeting years before. As soon as Delphinus became bishop, he had a major challenge on his hands. A teaching called Priscillianism was spreading. It was a complex heresy, but one of its main errors was teaching that to be a true follower of Christ, you had to reject marriage completely and live a very extreme ascetic life. Now, while the church honors fasting and self-denial, it is always taught that marriage is a beautiful and holy path to God. This new teaching was causing a lot of confusion and division among Christians. Saint Delphinus knew he had to act. He was a man of great faith and courage. He didn't just sit back and watch this confusion spread. In the year 3080, the same year he became bishop, he traveled to a meeting of bishops in Saragossa, Spain. At this meeting, called a synod, he and other bishops officially condemned the Priscillianist teachings as false. They stood together to protect the true faith that had been handed down from the apostles. But the problem didn't go away that easily. Followers of Priscillian were persistent. So, a few years later, around 384, Delphinus decided to confront the issue right in his own backyard. He called for another synod, this time in his very own city of Bordeaux. Imagine the scene. Bishops and church leaders gathered, listening to arguments and praying for guidance. Under Delphinus' strong leadership, this council also condemned the heresy. He wasn't just a quiet leader, he was a powerful and zealous preacher. He spoke with such passion and clarity against these false ideas that their influence in his region completely fell apart. The people who were spreading the heresy eventually gave up and left the area. Saint Delphinus had successfully protected his flock from confusion and error. His reputation as a wise and holy bishop grew far beyond the borders of his own city. He became known as a pillar of orthodoxy, someone who held firm to the correct and true teachings of the church. This earned him the respect and friendship of some of the most famous and influential saints of his time. One of his closest friends was Saint Ambrose of Milan. If you know your church history, you know that Saint Ambrose was a giant of the faith, a brilliant theologian, powerful preacher, and a mentor to Saint Augustine. Ambrose and Delphinus wrote letters to each other, and Saint Ambrose deeply valued their correspondence. He saw Delphinus as a true partner in defending the faith. Delphinus was also good friends with Saint Fabadius, another bishop in Gaul, and Saint Venerius of Milan. Being friends with saints like these tells you a lot about the kind of person Delphinus was. Learned, no? Holy and deeply committed to Christ and his church. But perhaps the most famous and heartwarming part of Saint Delphinus' story is his connection to another great saint, Paulinus of Nola. Before he became a saint, Paulinus was an incredibly wealthy and powerful man named Pontius Meropius Anicius, Paulinus. He was a Roman senator, a governor, and a famous poet. He had everything the world could offer: money, status, and talent. He and his wife Theresia lived a life of luxury. But deep down, they felt a pull towards something more, something eternal. They began exploring the Christian faith, and their journey led them to Bordeaux, right into the life of Bishop Delphinus. Delphinus saw the spark of faith in this powerful aristocrat. He didn't see a senator or a rich man. He saw a soul searching for God. With great patience and wisdom, Delphinus became Paulinus' spiritual father and teacher. He guided him, answered his questions, and showed him the path to a life of true perfection, a life centered not on worldly riches, but on love for Christ. It was Saint Delphinus who had the great honor of baptizing Paulinus in the year 388. This was the turning point in Paulinus' life. He and his wife eventually gave away all their immense wealth to the poor and dedicated themselves completely to God. Paulinus went on to become a priest, a bishop, and one of the most beloved saints and Christian poets of the early church. Paulinus never forgot the man who led him to Christ. In his letters, he always spoke of Delphinus with the deepest love and respect, calling him his father and his master. For many years, 5 of the letters that Paulinus wrote to Delphinus were preserved. While the original letters have sadly been lost to time, the fact that they existed and were treasured tells us how profound their relationship was. Through his quiet mentorship, Saint Delphinus helped shape one of the great saints of Western Christianity. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes our greatest impact comes not from big, public actions, but from the personal, loving guidance we offer to one another. As a bishop, Delphinus was more than just a defender of doctrine. He was a true shepherd to his people. He was a capable administrator who organized the church in Bordeaux, making sure it ran smoothly. He encouraged his people to honor the local martyrs who had given their lives for the faith, helping to build a strong sense of Christian community and history in the region. He was known for his compassion, his humility, and his unwavering commitment to the truth. His flock loved him because he was a father to them all. Another important act of his leadership was ordaining his successor. He saw holiness and potential in a man named Amandus, and he personally ordained him, preparing him to one day take his place. This shows his foresight and his care for the future of the church in Bordeaux. When Delphinus eventually passed away, Saint Amandus did indeed become the next bishop, carrying on the legacy of his holy mentor. After a long and faithful life of service, Saint Delphinus died peacefully on December 24th, the year 403. It's so fitting that his birth into heaven, as the early Christians called death, happened on Christmas Eve. As the church prepares to celebrate the birth of its Savior, Jesus Christ, it also remembers this faithful shepherd who dedicated his entire life to serving and defending that same Christ. His life was a gift to the church, and his death on this holy night feels like a final, beautiful connection to the mystery of Christmas. Because he lived so long ago, before the formal process of canonization we have today, Saint Delphinus is what we call a pre-congregation saint. This means he was recognized as a saint by the people and the local church. Through popular acclaim and devotion, a testament to the powerful impact he had on everyone who knew him. He is honored as one of the patron saints of Bordeaux and the surrounding Aquitaine region of France. It's a heavenly protector for the very people he served on earth. So, what can we learn from Saint Delphinus today? His story reminds us of the importance of standing for the truth with both courage and gentleness. He faced down heresy not with anger, but with clear teaching and strong leadership. His life shows us that steadfast faith, even when it's quiet, can change the world. Think of his influence on Saint Paulinus of Nola, a single relationship that had ripple effects for generations. Saint Delphinus of Bordeaux may not be one of the most famous saints, but his life is a powerful symbol of episcopal courage, pastoral care, and doctrinal clarity. He was one of those steady, faithful bishops who quietly and bravely laid the foundations of Christianity in Europe. It's Christmas Eve, as you gather with your loved ones. Take a moment to remember Saint Delphinus, the holy bishop of Bordeaux, who went to his heavenly home on this very night. Let his life inspire us to be defenders of the faith in our own small ways, to be mentors and friends to those on their spiritual journey, and to be steadfast shepherds in whatever role God has called us to. Thank you for joining me today to learn about the life of this incredible saint. Hope his story has enriched your Advent season. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more stories of the saints. May you have a blessed and Merry Christmas. See you next time, and God bless you always.